Good morning, students. Today we are going to discuss on the principles of web design. This is actually a theory part which is going to discuss on various concepts and various ideas that you have to understand are the principles of web design. So if you are going to see that, I think the first part is actually going to be like we are going to talk about the book which we have referred is actually mentioned in your syllabi. Moving to responsive web design. The materials that is going to be discussed here are made from this particular web book which is available in the university e-library website. Okay. First and foremost thing is that there are 4 stages in the design of a web. When you are going to develop a web design or you are going to make a web development, there are 4 stages. Number 1 is called planning stage. Number 2 is called concept development, content development stage, not concept, content development stage. The third stage is called the design stage, and the last stage is called the build stage. All our concepts that we are going to discuss today is going to be centered around these 4 stages of the web design development principles. I repeat again, there are 4 basic areas or 4 dimensions that are there in the development of a website or web design. When you are going to make a design of web, there are 4 stages. Number 1 is called planning stage. Number 2 is called content development stage. Number 3 is called design stage. Number 4 is called build stage. So these are the 4 things that we have to understand, and we are going to center our discussion in this chapter based on these 4 stages of web design development. Now let us first focus on the first part, which is about the planning stage. What is planning stage? Actually, it is one of the most important and the time consuming stage in the development of web page. You see, in any activity that you are going to do, planning is most important. If there is no planning, then you are actually going to a stage of not able to make the things achievable as you desire. So the most important and the time consuming, it also takes a lot of time from you. Sometimes many developers just ignore this step thinking that it is taking a lot of my time. So it is very important that you should properly focus on the planning stage of the web design. Okay, when we are going to talk about the planning stage, these are the things that you have to keep in mind about the planning stage. Number 1, you should know who will be working on the project and when they will be involved. This is the first thing. Who are the people going to be involved in developing any web design? It's going to be a team project. When you are going to do a team project, it is very important to assign each of the people a task and responsibility. So it is very important for you to see that who will be working on the project and when. And then the next one is what? To have a defined project leader. This is another step which is very important, because if you don't have a leader, everybody becomes a leader and everybody gives their opinion and you do not know where you are heading to. So you have a well-defined project leader and you have a well-defined deadline for release. That means what? You are going to have a proper plan when you are going to release the web design. When you are going to release your web page, you will have very clearly designed plan in a form of a Gantt chart or something like a PERT and CPM you can have. Know how long the project will take to complete. This is very important. We have to be realistic in our planning. Sometimes people make a very fantasy planning without considering the real consideration. The last one is you should have a defined scope for the project. What is defined scope? See, you are developing a website for the university. You should cover all the aspects that need to be covered for that particular organization. All the scope, all the things that are needed in part of the web design should be addressed in the planning stage. You cannot ignore certain areas saying that that is not important. So I hope it's clear until now. Let's go to the next one. Planning stage is over. Now we are going to talk about the content development stage. Okay, in the content development stage, we are going to see first one, the most important thing. Whenever you are going to put in the content, you have an existing web design or a web page which is already available. Now you want to actually revamp and develop a new web page. When you want to revamp a new web page, read existing web page and create a new web page, the first and the most important thing that you have to do is what? You should actually try to identify those components which can be reused. It is not necessary that you have to do everything from scratch, saying that everything that was there in the old design is not good. Some of the features of the old design may be very good, so you can just reuse it, saving your time, cost and effort. Okay, its emphasis is not to rebuild from the scratch. The idea of thinking on the content development stage, what are the contents that you are going to have in the web design, is not to build a particular new web page from the scratch. That's not the idea. What is the idea? The idea is to see that we are integrating those elements or features which can be reused from the older version of the web page which is existing already. Also, in the content development stage, there is one more thing, usability. And what is usability? Like, you have a web design, certain pages or certain features of the web page are not at all used in the existing design. So you are going to analyze how we can identify those areas which are not really used by those people and how to make changes, because you see the user interaction or the customer satisfaction in the web design is very important. If you are going to design a good web design but the usability means the comfort of using it is not there, then your design is not actually good. So you are going to do user reviews, you are going to ask the opinion and interaction with the end user, and then you will decide how to make those changes. This is very important step in content development stage. So the content development stage basically focuses on number one, reusability, and number two, usability. Okay, let's go for the next one. Focus on reusability. As I told you already, the one of the main aspect that we are going to focus in content development stage is reusability. See, if the design of your website is going to evolve, you know what is evolve? It is just going to change a little bit. You are not going to radically change. You need to be able to pinpoint which one works well in the current right now, which is good as of now in the current design, which is good, and which are the areas which needs improvement. You will classify them into two groups. If you are going to just evolve your web design, you will divide it into two parts. Number one, you will decide which are the areas which are working pretty good and which are the areas which are not good and where we need to improve our features. When time is the essence, because you see software development involves money. If you are going to waste a lot of time in developing a website from the beginning, thinking that I will do it from the beginning, then it is actually a mere waste of time, because time is the essence in business, especially in the software industry. In any development of website and information system, you have to understand you spend you spend no need to spend a lot of time and money, because you can redo the things that are good enough, which are good enough at this point, which are okay at this point. No need to redo it again. Okay, by using the existing solution, you will save a lot of time to focus on solving the trigger problems and the issues that are more aggravating to your users. So if you are going to leave those areas which are good, what you can do, you can focus on those areas where the users are not happy, and you want to spend a lot of deal of time to improve those shortcomings in your web design so that it can become better. Okay, this means reusing not only the things done before, but what other people have also done. You might have seen some design which is very good in a particular website. You can reuse those components in your website. Not only you have to reuse your own components, but also you can reuse the other people's component also. I hope it's clear up to this point. Now we are going to the next part. We are going to the next one. Focus on accessibility. What is accessibility? Like for example, should begin in the way you produce your content. Like if accessibility is something that you tend to see an add-on of the final steps of the testing process, okay, to start changing your ways. Accessible. You know what is access? You are giving accessibility. Okay, as an add on one of the final steps in the testing process to start changing your ways. Okay, that someone has accessibility issues does not mean that they have a permanent disability. Okay, for example, if you are going to design a web page or a web design, you should make sure that it is accessible at ease by your customer or the end user. I will give you an example. Now we are going to develop a good website which has got very good design with all multimedia and all the latest dynamic pages. But we find that it is not good for the type of internet speed that your customers are having. So what's the point? The point is it is of no use for your customer. Even though your product is good, the product is of no use for your customers. So you have to understand that your customers have good access to the web design or the website which you have developed at any connection from any place. If you are not able to connect from any place at any time, then there is a big issue that the end user will lose his interest and he may not use it again. Now we have got to talk about another important concept which is called prototyping. It is commonly used in any web design development. What is a prototype? Is to start by creating a document which actually gives you an idea. Prototype is nothing but a model. Prototype means what? A model. I don't want to develop a web page. I want to develop a model of the web page. Maybe even in a piece of paper, I can draw it how the design will look like. So that then I can get the opinion from the end user to see that how this can be improved, how it can be made better. Okay, it also consists of just words. I would like to have a table. Like for example, do you remember our mini project? What I asked you? I gave a prototype. What is a prototype? I would like to see in your project, number one, some table, some images, some menus, some for example hyperlinks. This is what is prototype. I write down these are my specifications I would like to see. So you can see it is just words I gave what I would like to have in my design. No diagrams are needed, and the developers will be to build the first responsive prototype. Actually, you did not develop a website in your mini project. You developed a prototype. You know what's a prototype? A small model of the real web design. We are not asking you to develop a real website. We are actually asking you to develop a prototype. To develop a prototype, as I told some of you before, you have to use something called storyboard, which is a part of multimedia authoring. So you have a storyboard, just some words, so that you get a clear idea what actually you should have in this page. Because as I told you, if you are very clear with your thoughts of putting the things that you would like to see, then your work becomes very easy. Okay, now it can also, like for example, writing down in a responsive version. To think a responsive version of your site, good exercise in taking the vision out of your head and making it real. Because when you have a piece of paper where you are explaining your ideas, that means whatever was in your mind, you have put it in a paper, so you can share it with other people, and that other people can give their opinions, and you can try to improve the design by having some discussions with them. I hope this is clear until now. Okay, the most important thing is that if you have a prototype, it gives a lot of time, lot of scope to improve the design, so that in the end of the day, you come up with a very good, fantastic design of your web design development which you have done. If you are going to develop a website, finally the end user is not satisfied with you, then it is a mere waste of time and money, because the product is not good. Most of the time in the software development and in web design, the mistake that is done by the companies is that they don't take the view of the end users. They assume that we are technically very strong people, we will give the product and the end user should be fine. But often this is not the case. The end users have their own opinions, feels and ideas. So to get their satisfaction and to get their happiness when they use a particular product is very important for success of any business, which also includes web design. With this, let me conclude this part. I will continue my next discussion on further concepts and principles of the web design in the part 2 of this particular video lesson. Thank you. See you again. Assalamu alaikum.